What's the best case scenario? You're talking about a projection of a deficit because it appears as though Tom Foley and Malloy just do not have their act together.
No, they don't want to tell you. The governor doesn't want to talk about it because he looked like a failure. Foley doesn't want to talk about it because he painted himself in a corner. When he said no concessions, a deal's a deal to the unions, and he said no spending cuts, and we know the reality is a $1.4 billion deficit.
So where's the money going to come from then? Does he know?
He won't address the deficit because it would paint him. I'll force him to do that during a debate.
But right now, from your perspective, what is the best case scenario in terms of a projected deficit down the pike?
Fiscal.
Best case.
And the best case is the Office of Fiscal Analysis, State of Connecticut General Assembly. That's an independent group.
But how much?
$1.4 billion.
You said $1.4 billion deficit. Your best
next
case
year
scenario.
And the following year. And the following year.
So you're talking $2.8 billion deficit.
With a $300 million each year built-in revenue. In other words, they've anticipated will grow. And then we still have the deficit.
And if it doesn't grow?
That's not as important as why aren't these two candidates talking about it in these debates?
What needs to be done, right?
Why aren't they speaking about it?
Let's look at the worst case scenario over the next couple of years in terms of a projected deficit for the state of Connecticut, which in the end, the taxpayers...
I think 3 to 4 years we have close to $5 billion. And I don't want it. No one wants these numbers to be
That's
real.
going to impact the credit rating. That's going to impact everybody, correct?
And that doesn't even address the unfunded liabilities that are anywhere from $50 billion to $80 billion. So we're just struggling to balance the books. Never mind tackle the unfunded liabilities. Never mind put money into education. Never mind put money into road improvements, road infrastructure. So we can't even get out of the gate right now. And it's that bad. And I'm not here to say Governor Malloy. Why am I not saying that? He so disliked his policies are so failed because he had a chance with full control of the State House, the Senate, and the governor's office to make the structural changes that could have had us in a better position. He failed to do that. He had an opportunity. He didn't get it done. He evidently thought we'd be out of it, like America is moving through it. We didn't. Connecticut always comes back late. So the governor did that. He doesn't deserve another term based on his projections. Tom Foley, his challenge is that he needs, people would believe Tom before they would believe me. I'm a contractor, I'm a builder, but they would believe a man with an MBA before they believe Joe Visconti about these numbers that are clear as day. If he would just say, here's the plan, here's what we need to do. He hasn't done that. Tom failed to give the public what they wanted from a man of money. Show us, Tom, how we get past these numbers. Instead, he used rhetoric and just, I'm not Dan Malloy, vote for me, the likability. And this is why I stayed in the race. We foresaw many things Tom would do that would make me have to stay in the race. Number one, he doesn't want to cut spending. Number two, he won't look for union concessions. Number three, he will not repeal Common Core. We'll get on that in a minute. Number four, we have this restraining order thing that the governor and Tom just agreed on, that they'll take guns from people that haven't been arrested but have a restraining order waiting for a hearing in front of a judge in 2 weeks. Take their guns, and they haven't been arrested, give them back if they did nothing. I want a rapid response. I don't want due process infringed upon. If someone's really that bad and a woman comes and says this is happening, bring that person right in front of the judge immediately. 24-hour night court, have public defenders there. If it's that serious, I want that person in front of a judge day one. They don't have to be arrested, they have to be brought in. This is the thing we have to do. Tom agreed with Dan Malloy and said, no, take their guns. Constitutional infringement. Then SB 1160, Tom won't even attempt to put in any type of bill. And people out there in the gun world think you can't repeal. The governor's office puts a budget, and the governor's office can put bills in. The governor just put a bill in for the APRNs. You can now go see an APRN registered nurse and not need to see a doctor. That bill came out of the governor's office. And a bill for partial repeal of the SB 1160 law at the right time, with the right legislatures, with the right political frameworks that can happen where we have public hearings and we can reverse some part of that law. Tom will not do that. Another thing is the minimum wage increase. When Obama was in New Britain this year, and Dan Malloy passed the minimum wage increase, Tom said it's a fairness issue. I agree with it. Again, he's agreeing with Dan Malloy. Small business owners cannot afford the minimum wage. It's for entry-level positions. My idea is to raise the safety net. Take women, especially who are trapped in poverty, and give them a prorated system where they can have their entitlements and their benefits and the things they get from the state. Not increase, but follow them higher until they're into high-paying jobs. and then reduce the safety net so it gets smaller as they get to $18 or $20 an hour, and they're gone from poverty, rather than stuck in a cycle of poverty at $9 and $10. These are the forward-thinking ideas we're putting forward, and Tom Foley's agreeing with Dan Malloy. The list goes on how Tom Foley and Dan Malloy completely align on everything, forced me into the race.
Would it be fair to say that both of them are this new developing centrist?
No, Tom.
You think there is a distinct differential between Dan Malloy and Tom Foley?
There is not. There is not. Tom wants the.
So they're almost like centrists.
Tom wants the title, and Dan wants the power. Tom doesn't necessarily want the power. He wants the title. And he wants a title because if he wanted the power, he would have wanted the ideas to put forth to make the changes and let you know about it. That power and that plan would have given it to you as a voter, and you would know it. He wants a title, and trust me, later we'll figure it out. Well, later you're going to have tax increases. You're going to be very upset about that because you were told there would be tax increases, and it'll be something that would destroy the Republicans. But we've run moderate Republicans in the state for years, and we've lost as Republicans. We don't message it, the Republican brand. We don't align with it. You don't sell Coca-Cola in Texas, Chicago, California, New York, or in Connecticut with a different brand. It's Coca-Cola's Coca-Cola. You sell it as the brand. And so we've lost our brand. We've compromised with Democrats on many issues. For Tom, it's the social, the constitutional, and the fiscal issues that he's lined up with Dan Malloy on. He just wants to win because he thought Dan Malloy was more hated. But the poll that came out yesterday, the PPP poll, showed that Tom went from a 33% unfavorable people don't like you, to a 49% unfavorable in the month of September. Dan Malloy has had a constant 50 to 53% unfavorable. He's totally disliked, but he can endure that loss because he's a Democrat with a bigger vote.
But now a new poll comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Tom's unfavorable still high. And what that means, it's almost like a Linda McMahon syndrome. It's almost impossible to win with unfavorables. And so I hate talking about all the candidates, but some of your questions you showed me earlier were, what's the difference between you and Tom, or you and Dan? I will show you a plan. I'll show you the ideas. I'm not here to blame Malloy's policies or even blame Tom. I've been coaching Tom through the media like this for months, and he hasn't picked up on what to do. Another problem that Tom had was during the month of September, he received and sought the endorsement from the Family Institute of Connecticut. Tom is pro-gay marriage, and Tom is pro-abortion. I'm pro-family and pro-life. I am the candidate who should have received that. I don't care about it, but Tom took it. He doesn't defend that issue, and he's getting slammed by the Malloy ads with these extremists.
To our viewers, give us a call at 792-4101 if you have any question about Joe Visconti, who is one of 3 candidates seeking people's vote to become the next governor. Dan Malloy, of course, incumbent. Tom Foley, new. He has Republican support. But again, there are some people who are very concerned about Tom Foley, his past police record. Really questions whether or not he has the character stance to really be elected into the governor's office. With Dan Malloy, there has been a concern, and that is about covering up his son's past police record. Now we have Joe Visconti, who's coming across as a very straightforward, straight shooter. And he will be, Joe will be on the upcoming debates. He has not been allowed to be on the debates before. Those debates were just between Foley and Malloy. And the last one, of course, they both destroyed one another. So again, give us a call, 792-4101.